Also, Complex has put out their 10 most influential women in sports. And Angel Reese is not going to like this because, well, she got beaten by Caitlin Clark for number 1.
Caitlin Clark did it again. As if shattering records on the court wasn't enough, she just scored another huge victory without even having to tie up her sneakers. Complex just crowned her the most influential female athlete, solidifying her place as the biggest name in sports at the moment. And the best part? She edged out Angel Reese, who, predictably, isn't taking it too well.
So, it's been hard for me, but adjusting and just kind of have that mindset of, just moving on has been something I try to give myself a little bit of grace.
That's right. While Clark is out here racking up awards, growing the game, and making history, Reese is busy scrambling for excuses, pretending like this honor doesn't matter. But let's be honest, if Reese had won, we'd never hear the end of it. Instead of celebrating someone else's success, she's doing what she does best, downplaying Clark's accomplishments while spending more time on TikTok than in the gym.
Announcing the top 10 most influential athletes right now. These athletes are reshaping culture. Caitlin Clark, check. Breaking records. Caitlin Clark, check. Proving their impact goes far beyond the game, from sold-out arenas to game-changing moves in business and fashion. These women are leading the way. If this is a top 10 list, then sitting on the top of that list, there's only one right answer. There's only one correct choice.
Let's set the record straight. This isn't just about an award. It's about who the fans are really backing. One player has everyone tuning in for her mind-blowing talent, and the other, well, she's famous for making headlines for everything but basketball. Some see this as a rivalry, but let's be real. It's not much of a competition when one player is actually winning.
What is your stance on that?
So my whole thing was when I got drafted, number 7. So I'm cool. The pressure is not even on me because I'm drafted 7, so the pressure shouldn't be up there. So I'm all right, cool. I can just hoop. So I'm all right, cool.
It's because you started killing it.
Well, yeah.
And they're oh.
I'm still a rookie. I'm still figuring it out. Trying to figure things out.
All right, let's break it all down. Why did Clark take home this award? What makes her influence so undeniable? And most importantly, why is Angel Reese acting like she got robbed? We're about to dive into the numbers, the impact, and the hilarious aftermath.
And Angel Reese is not going to like this because, well, she got beaten by Caitlin Clark for number 1. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at that. I think it's hilarious. I will tell you right off the bat, I don't believe there's a singular world, where Angel Reese should be ahead of Simone Biles either. There, I put that out loud.
Caitlin Clark didn't just break records, she obliterated them. 62 records shattered in a single season. Let that sink in. This isn't just about making history, it's about rewriting the entire record book. No player in WNBA history has ever dominated like this, and we're only in year 1.
My expectation is to be one of the best players in the world one day. I wouldn't expect anything less than that.
More history for the FIBA rookie.
At this point, continue to be myself, and I think a lot of good will come from that.
But here's where it gets even crazier. Clark didn't just put up insane numbers, she actually changed the trajectory of an entire franchise. Before she showed up, the Indiana Fever were stuck at the bottom of the league, barely staying relevant. Then Caitlin Clark walked in, and boom, they made the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. That's not just individual greatness, that's team-changing dominance.
The woman who's been putting women's basketball on her back for the better part of 3 years now. These athletes are reshaping culture. Caitlin Clark has men watching women's basketball.
Let's talk off-court impact, because this is where Clark leaves the so-called rivals in the dust. WNBA merch sales shot up 500% in her rookie season. Yes, 500%. Jerseys, t-shirts, memorabilia, everything was flying off the shelves. Meanwhile, Reese's jerseys? Just sitting there collecting dust while Clark's sold out in minutes.
This is a phenomenon. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenon.
This isn't just about jersey sales. Clark's influence is shaking up the whole league's economy. Viewership is through the roof. Arenas that once struggled to fill seats are now packed, but only when Clark's in town. Teams that used to beg for fans are now scrambling to expand seating to keep up with the demand.
So that's what they got on her. Caitlin Clark, she ran away with number one. I don't think that should surprise us. She came away with number one. Caitlin Clark is redefining the entire landscape of women's sports. That's right. Her dominance on the court has shattered outdated narratives about women's sports, proving that women's basketball can be just as marketable and widely watched as men's. But the Caitlin Clark effect goes far beyond her performance. It's reshaping the entire sports landscape. Clark's impact is undeniable. Her presence alone boosts the WNBA attendance by 105%.
Even sports economists are stunned by Clark's impact. Thayer Lavielle, a top name in sports business, called her a lightning rod for women's basketball, comparing her to Michael Jordan for how she's boosting the game's visibility and value. And honestly, she's spot on.
Because when we went to the WNBA games and we went to go watch Caitlin Clark when they came to play the Washington Mystics in DC, and they shut that they had to move the game from the Washington Mystics WNBA arena to the actual Washington arena where the Wizards played, and it was packed. It was sold out for people to see Caitlin Clark. That did not happen the day before that when they went to Chicago to play Angel Reese.
Let's talk real numbers. Clark's rookie season alone raked in a jaw-dropping $36 million for Indianapolis. Just one player did that, and it's only the start. Experts predict her rise will boost women's basketball's value by $1.6 billion over the next 3 years. Yes, billion with a B.
I'm going to look at this the way I did with Michael Jordan. Now, she's not the Michael Jordan of her sport as far as athleticism, playing, dominating. But A'ja Wilson is the best player in the game. Not even a debate. But I'm talking about value now. Value to a franchise, value to a league, getting your team in the playoffs. They had the number one pick. They were the worst team last year. And there is value that I can attach to that.
So what does all this mean? Caitlin Clark isn't just a superstar. She's a movement. She's doing more than dominating on the court. She's reshaping the entire league's future, bringing in new fans, generating massive revenue, and making women's basketball must-watch TV.
I'm talking about value. Michael Jordan was the most valuable player every single year because of what he meant to his team and what he meant to the league. And, oh, by the way, winning 6 titles. Can't argue with that. Caitlin Clark may not win titles. Las Vegas is still a great team. But the fact that she's doing what she's doing and at a very high level, you know, it's now commonplace where she'll go for 26 and 12. I mean, those are great numbers for any player, no matter how long you've been in the league.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese is still sitting there trying to figure out why she wasn't named most influential. Maybe if she spent more time working on her game and less time complaining on social media, she'd get that this is about sports.
This is about sports. This is about athletic ability. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Caitlin Clark's game, who's very reminiscent of a Steph Curry based on her range and shooting the three, plus everything else she does. And then you look at Angel Reese, stop it. Stop it. There's a dude on the internet who cracks me up on TikTok. He's put together a shitload of Angel Reese clips, and it'll say Angel Reese part 36. And it goes, Angel Reese going up for another layup. She misses, bang! And I mean, dude, it's the funniest shit. And my whole thing is this, dude. She just seems as uncoordinated as a baby giraffe.
Caitlin Clark's journey to these awards might seem like a done deal, but the real story is way bigger. Remember Angel Reese? She was hyped as Clark's biggest competition, with the media pushing this so-called rivalry. It was framed as the ultimate showdown, a season-long battle that had fans hooked. But let's be real, was it ever really close?
Saying Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan, or Ben Wallace was better than Kobe, or even Andre Drummond was better than LeBron. And I shouldn't have to point out that Angel Reese is actually a poor defender.
From the jump, The media pushed the narrative of two rookies battling for WNBA supremacy. But as the season went on, the gap became painfully clear. This wasn't a duel of equals. It was one player dominating the league while the other spent more time in the headlines than in the box scores.
Oh, Reese! 3-on-3, part 13, let's get it! Classic long two. Bang! PSA, no rims or backboards were harmed during the filming of this video. But viewers are encouraged to look away. Bang! What? Bang! I heard her say that she might sit out if the WNBA doesn't pay her what she deserves. They say $1 million for every missed layup is fair. Bang!
They are stat petting queen properly. Fair wages for all. I repeat, fair wages.
Remember, they're coming to see her. Long two, butter pecan. Bang!
Then came Rookie of the Year and First Team All WNBA, and that's when it all came to light. Clark didn't just win, she ran away with it. The so-called competition wasn't even close. As for Reese, she wasn't exactly graceful in defeat. Instead of congratulating Clark, she hit social media to claim Clark didn't deserve the honor. Imagine losing a race by a mile and then demanding a recount.
But her attention, her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. Because she wins the national title, first thing she does, she mocks Caitlin Clark. And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates. So she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off of that.
But here's the real kicker. Clark's success isn't about trophies or petty rivalries. She's not out here chasing awards. She's revolutionizing the WNBA. Her impact goes far beyond basketball. She's expanding the game, shattering attendance records, and bringing in millions of new fans. Meanwhile, Reese is stuck trying to convince everyone she belongs in the same conversation as Clark. The difference? Clark is changing the game. Reese is just trying to catch up.
Today, she has released, well, she's not released, it has been announced that her shoe is going to be dropped this week, and we can see what it looks like.
Nike's decision has ignited widespread outrage, with fans left questioning the company's priorities.
So, Paige Bueckers is arguably the best player in college basketball right now. She's had a really good start to the season, and again, she's a 23-year-old dominating against 18-year-olds. She should be.
While Paige Bueckers makes history as the first college athlete with a Nike sneaker, Caitlin Clark, widely regarded as one of the most electrifying players in women's basketball, remains notably absent from the spotlight.
So Nike's first Paige Bueckers shoe drops this week. So Caitlin Clark has not had a shoe. By the way, she's had nothing. She's had nothing except the Rookie of the Year top.
How did Nike miss the mark with their biggest star? Was this a calculated strategy or an outright blunder? This is the story of how Nike's latest move has divided fans and ignited controversy in women's basketball. By unveiling a signature shoe for Paige Bueckers, while seemingly sidelining Caitlin Clark, Nike has sparked shockwaves across the sports world. What should have been a groundbreaking moment for women's basketball has quickly spiraled into a PR crisis, with fans, analysts, and casual observers alike questioning the brand's priorities. The controversy goes beyond the sneaker. It's about how Nike's decision is being interpreted as a glaring snub of Caitlin Clark, a player widely recognized as the face of women's basketball.
Nike signed Bueckers in September 2023, where she frequently wore the GT Hustle 2 on court. She signed several NIL deals. So, Nike signed Caitlin Clark in 2022. Nada. Nike signed Paige Bueckers in 2023. Signature shoe straight away.
Fans are outraged, flooding social media with calls for action, including boycotts of Nike products. How do you ignore Caitlin Clark, the best player in women's basketball? One fan tweeted. Another added, Nike just doesn't get it. Disrespecting Caitlin Clark is unacceptable, and I'm done buying their products. These frustrations are mirrored in fan forums, where debates over Nike's priorities dominate discussions. Some fans are even posting videos of themselves discarding Nike gear, while others are pledging to switch to competitors like Adidas or Under Armour. The backlash is undeniable, and the noise is only getting louder. The irony of this controversy is rooted in Caitlin Clark's undeniable greatness. She doesn't need brands to validate her. Brands need her. At just 22, Clark has transcended college basketball, becoming a household name in sports overall. Her record-breaking performances, exceptional leadership, and ability to draw massive crowds have cemented her status as a superstar. Her jaw-dropping shots and playmaking skills regularly go viral, captivating basketball fans across the globe and proving that her impact speaks for itself.
It's cool. And look, I think it's simultaneously, it's okay to say it's really cool that Paige Becker is getting her shoe, but Nike fumbled Caitlin Clark so badly.
The controversy highlights a larger issue with Nike's approach to sports marketing. While Buchers is undeniably talented and deserving of recognition, many feel that Clark's cultural and athletic impact has reached unprecedented levels. Her performances consistently draw massive audiences, and her highlights frequently go viral, captivating basketball fans worldwide. For a brand as influential as Nike, sidelining such a star feels like a glaring missed opportunity. Nike's decision not to launch a Caitlin Clark signature shoe has also raised concerns about their ability to connect with their audience. Fans argue that Clark's dominance and charisma make her the perfect candidate to lead a campaign that could transcend sports and become a cultural moment. Instead, Nike's move has been widely interpreted as tone-deaf, sparking backlash that continues to grow. This misstep has opened the door for competitors like Adidas and Under Armour to step in and align themselves with Clark, whose marketability continues to soar. A Caitlin Clark signature shoe could not only boost sales, but also send a powerful message about valuing women's sports. If Nike doesn't act quickly, they risk losing one of the brightest stars in basketball to a rival brand. For now, Caitlin Clark's star power shines brighter than ever. She doesn't need a signature shoe to prove her greatness. Her talent and influence speak for themselves. However, for Nike, this situation serves as a wake-up call. The backlash has shown that fans are paying attention, demanding better representation, and willing to hold brands accountable. If Nike fails to recognize Clark's value, it risks falling behind in the rapidly evolving landscape of women's sports marketing. Did you catch the latest? Ben Shapiro just took down Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson over her ridiculous comments about Caitlin Clark.
So one of the bizarre controversies of the last week is Caitlin Clark, who is the WNBA's only nameable star. Here, for example, is WNBA team owner Sheila Johnson. Here she is, ripping Caitlin Clark and the fan base for liking Caitlin Clark, saying it's only because Caitlin Clark is white.
In what might as well be an Olympic gold medal for bad takes, Sheila's claiming that Clark didn't deserve Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year title, basically suggesting that everyone in the WNBA should be recognized, except for Caitlin Clark.
Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We have got to operate and become stronger as a league and respect everybody that's playing.
You heard that right. This is the ultimate everybody gets a trophy mentality, but cranked up to the max. Shapiro wasted no time shredding Johnson's argument, using his signature rapid-fire style to highlight just how ridiculous her position really is.
You're not putting the entire WNBA on the cover because not everybody can fit and nobody knows who any of those people are. By the way, 31% apparently of the entire Washington Mystics ticket sales this year came in 2 games. I will give you a guess as to which player was featured in those 2 games.
Exactly. Not everyone can fit inside the spotlight, and definitely not the entire WNBA. As for this talk of upliftment, let's not forget that 31% of the Washington Mystics' annual revenue has come from games featuring Caitlin Clark and her team. Are we seriously supposed to pretend Caitlin Clark isn't single-handedly bringing fresh energy to a league that's been struggling to stay relevant?
Look, I'm going to be completely honest about this. I thought what Wizards owner Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark came off as racist. Sheila Johnson is the black billionaire owner of the NHL's Washington Capitals, the NBA's Washington Wizards, and the WNBA's Washington Mystics. Johnson said she did not agree with Time magazine making Caitlin Clark the first ever WNBA player to be Athlete of the Year.
Sheila's claim that Caitlin Clark's success somehow undermines the rest of the league definitely carries a whiff of something darker. It's hard to ignore how that perspective reeks of racism, whether she intended it or not.
And with putting Caitlin Clark on the cover. Johnson said the entire WNBA should have been chosen as the League of the Year and that numerous stars should have been put on the cover. She said the WNBA has a long legacy of black stars and that, and I quote, "Something clicked with the WNBA last year because of the draft. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese." As in, of course, Chicago's Angel Reese.
Seriously? Angel Reese doesn't even come close to Caitlin Clark, both in skill and popularity. So why is Sheila so eager to downplay Clark's accomplishments? It's almost like she's trying to diminish something that clearly stands out on its own.
Johnson said, and I quote, "There's so much talent out there that's unrecognized, and I don't think we can pin it on just one player. When you single out one, it creates hard feelings," end of quote. Johnson said, "What's been happening to black players on social media," and I quote, "has got to stop," in that, and I quote again, "this division of racism is going to tear us apart," end quote.
Exactly. Are we seriously going to stop celebrating a player just because others are feeling threatened or jealous? That doesn't sit right, does it? This is straight up unfair treatment. Sheila should be recognizing greatness, not trying to undermine it.
Johnson is saying to me, the majority of WNBA players are black and have always been black, that basketball belongs more to black players than to white, and that it's not healthy for the league to have a white player featured as Athlete of the Year on the cover of Time. Now, I'm pretty sure if WNBA MVP Asia Wilson had made the cover of Time as Athlete of the Year, Johnson wouldn't have had any problem with that. Just not the white girl.
Absolutely. What Sheila's implying is that we should start picking and choosing who gets praise based on the color of their skin, rather than their talent or achievements. It's absurd on so many levels, and frankly, it's a huge disservice to the game and the players who deserve recognition.
But this person put this on as a quote to this video. Sheila Johnson's worth $850 million, and she doesn't put a penny back into the neighborhood she comes from. Very interesting. She doesn't even come back to her high school to show little black girls that they can become her. My little cousins go to the same high school. They don't even know she exists. Very interesting indeed.
Did you catch that? It turns out Sheila might be guilty of the very thing she's accusing Caitlin Clark of. That's right. She supposedly doesn't do charity or encourage the black kids in her community to become billionaires like herself. Talk about hypocrisy at its finest, folks.
Well, the league has always been woke, has always had an agenda. The league and the sports media, the establishment sports media that is, and their surrogates. Always. And they pride themselves on that.
It's become pretty clear that the WNBA has a lot of politics playing out behind the scenes. Could this be what's been holding the league back all these years? It's hard not to wonder if these power struggles and biases are part of the reason the league hasn't reached the level of recognition and success it deserves.
But since Caitlin Clark stepped into the waters with the Time magazine interview, it's almost like you're gonna see more people, more comments, more demands. You're going to see it's going to be less and less about basketball, what you want to see, and it's going to be a whole lot of this stuff because it's like she ripped off another layer of the onion, and this one is a big one. And so now people feel like they can just go all in.
Exactly. Sheila's opposition to Caitlin Clark seems rooted in the fact that, like many so-called woke figures, she's recognized that Clark isn't playing by the usual political playbook. Instead of bending to certain narratives or pushing an agenda, Clark is simply focused on earning her success through talent. And that's something that doesn't sit well with people who expect athletes to follow their scripted roles.
But this, of course, is the Mystics owner that said that Caitlin Clark should give up her Time Magazine award and give it to the entire WNBA. Of course, that has now become a running joke, and the mother of all community checks came down here and nailed her. 31% of Mystics' total home attendance for the 2024 season came from the 2 games versus Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
Newsflash, Sheila, sports thrive on competition, not on the equality of outcome. Claiming that Caitlin Clark doesn't deserve to be singled out is like saying LeBron James should share his accolades with the benchwarmers just because of team effort. That's not how greatness works. Individual brilliance deserves recognition, and Clark has earned every bit of it.
It's important that we say, you know what? You want to go all in? You want to go in, people with a lot of nonsense? Then guess what? We're going to go in too, and we're going to expose the nonsense.
Exactly. A lot of these racist attitudes flourish when there's no pushback or challenge. That's why speaking out isn't just an option, it's a responsibility. If we stay silent, we're allowing these harmful views to persist unchecked. It's crucial to stand up and call out hypocrisy when we see it.
What it is. A lot of times, like you, we're just like, we just want to let's just play basketball. But then when they start saying nonsense, like when the owner of a WNBA team, Sheila Johnson, Washington Mystics, when she says some of the stuff like she said that people are talking about today, it's like, okay, you want to play hardball? Then let's play.
Absolutely. Caitlin Clark isn't just a great player. She's a mythical juggernaut and a cultural icon. She's rewriting the rules of the game, and her numbers prove it. She's not just good, she's the best. And anyone who tries to deny that is ignoring the undeniable facts.
Loyola University basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation accused of mistreating players. One of them is speaking out this morning, telling us why she wanted to transfer. ABC's Lindsay Davis is here with the details. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Lara. Sheryl Swoopes was the first woman to ever sign with the WNBA. But this morning, the college coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
They fired her. They didn't just replace Sheryl Swoopes, they booted her out. And why? Because of Caitlin Clark.
There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit
like
going
it's
on
a lot.
around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah,
this year.
now listen.
Months ago, Swoopes sat on her high horse predicting disaster for the Indiana Fever. She, Miss Caitlin Clark, boldly claimed no one would want to play in Indiana and confidently declared that top-tier talent would never sign there.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, appreciate your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Let's go. So I wanted to do a little bit of a dive into the Fever roster, what that looks like. Now that we've gotten through the bulk of the free agency offseason, we've seen a lot of changes.
Fast forward to today, and the Fever just made the most game-changing free agency move in WNBA history.
The way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game. So.
Superstar signings, game changers, and swoops.
So y'all can record this, you cannot record it, but the biggest thing I want everybody to hear me say right now.
She's been strangely silent. Ever seen someone talk a big game, then disappear? That's exactly what's going down right now. Indiana just dropped a statement that's sending ripples through the entire league. and we're here to dissect every bit of it.
All right, Hoop Queens, gather around because we've got some major tea brewing in the WNBA. Indiana Fever just landed Brianna Turner in free agency. Brianna Turner, let that sink in.
Before we dive into the good stuff, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Keep up with all the latest WNBA news, expert analysis, and the drama you won't get anywhere else. Now, let's get into it.
But I think you're starting to get a little bit more shine from maybe the casual fan, and maybe some folks who maybe didn't know or haven't seen Indiana as much as they've seen this year.
I agree.
So what's that part like, you know, getting that little bit more attention and getting a little bit more shine and getting the recognition that...
The Indiana Fever just shook up free agency like never before. They didn't just add players, they built a juggernaut. You know that feeling when you go all out in franchise mode on a video game? Well, that's exactly what Indiana just did. They went all in, loading up their roster with seasoned champions, fierce competitors, and players who've got both game and attitude. This wasn't just another offseason, it was a full-on power play.
Yes. Wait. Yep. You look good on me, huh? Look good. Like a whole 360. Like, I think I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, man, what if I go back to Indiana where I started? That'd be crazy. Look where I'm at.
First up, they snagged Natasha Howard, a 3-time WNBA champion and one of the fiercest defensive forces around. Howard doesn't just defend, she shuts players down. Her ability to lock down anyone, protect the rim, and control the boards takes Indiana's defense to a whole new level.
Going for your services, Dawana, so why was this the right opportunity for you?
I just feel like it was the location for one. My kids are literally right up the road, and I've spent a lot of time away from them, so that and the core that they have here now is just kind of want to fit in, and be another piece of the puzzle, and hopefully bring the energy dynamic and take us to a different level in the playoffs.
Next up, they brought in Dawana Bonner, a scoring powerhouse who's a nightmare for any defender. Bonner adds leadership, championship pedigree, and that clutch gene that turns the Fever into a serious playoff contender.
In Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever are trading for a multi-dimensional wing, capable of knocking down the 3-ball.
Cunningham is starting to cook. Cunningham 3 is good. Cunningham from the corner.
Locking down defenders.
Several deflections, and this time she gets the steal and the N1 opportunity.
And they weren't finished yet. Enter Sophie Cunningham, a walking spark plug, bold, trash-talking, and always ready to ignite her team and the crowd. She thrives in clutch moments, playing with a chip on her shoulder, exactly the kind of energy Indiana was craving. And to cap it all off, they added Sydney Colson, a seasoned vet with championship DNA, the kind of player who holds it all together behind the scenes. Colson's leadership in the locker room will be just as vital as what she brings on the court. This isn't just a team full of talent, it's a roadmap to success. The Fever didn't sit around waiting for greatness. They went out and created it.
And that's where you brought up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran, which is code word for your old.
Slow the pace.
Yeah. So I feel like
I know that's why you guys were so good for those
in
years.
2018 and 2020, the years we won, that was our whole mantra, was pace, 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 pace. And what I see in Caitlin.
For months, the media pushed the same old story. Nobody wants to play for Indiana. The franchise was labeled a dead zone, a place elite players wouldn't even think about. Analysts wrote off the Fever, critics laughed off any chance of big signings, and Sheryl Swoopes, all but mocked the idea of Indiana drawing in top-tier free agents. To most, the Fever were just another struggling team with no real appeal in the league.
Her face, unable to hit. Bree Jones, another 0 board for Connecticut. Better look for Mabry. Off the mark.
But here we are now. Indiana didn't just sign free agents, they snagged some of the top talent out there. The same team everyone claimed couldn't draw stars just assembled one of the most lethal rosters in the WNBA. Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson. These aren't just bodies filling spots. These are game changers, battle-tested vets, players who could have signed anywhere but chose Indiana. That alone smashes the false narrative about the Fever being a dead-end destination. Now, the same analysts who wrote them off are scrambling. That nobody wants to play there, take, gone, like expired milk. The entire perception of the Fever flipped overnight, and it all boils down to one undeniable truth. They built a culture players want to be part of. With Caitlin Clark in the mix, a front office making bold moves, and a roster that's suddenly one of the league's best, Indiana isn't just back, they're a problem.
Oh, it's a triple-double for Caitlin. What a reaction by Kelsey.
Well, how about the knowledgeable fans in this building? They burst out of their seats like it was a game winner.
Let's cut to the chase. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. Plain and simple. Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie trying to find her footing in the league. She's a franchise-changing force. The kind of player who doesn't just lift her team, but redefines the entire WNBA landscape. The Indiana Fever, a team that's been stuck in the mud for years, is suddenly the most talked about squad in the league, and that's no fluke. Clark's arrival has turned this franchise into a destination, one that's not only worth watching, but one that top players actually want to join.
So when you talk about the young girls that came in, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, rookie class, really hyping up the league coming from college to the WNBA, what has that done for you and the buzz of this entire league?
I think it's so positive. I really do. I think it's a fun time to be a part of the W. I truly believe that. I think the skill and the talent has always been there, but now it's just the viewership. And so I give a big old clap to the rookie class. I think that's a lot to deal with when you're at that age and you have that many eyes on you. But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to, but I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it.
When Sophie Cunningham signed with Indiana, she didn't sugarcoat it. Caitlin Clark was a factor. Players aren't just hearing about Clark's insane shooting range or flashy assists. They're hearing about her leadership, her competitive edge, and her ability to elevate those around her. That's the kind of player you want to play with. She's a magnet, drawing both talent and attention to a team that used to be flying under the radar.
I'm going to use her word. I want to see her continue to be a dog, because she is a dog. Here's what I'll say about Angel. I love the fact that she's just her, right? And she says she's unapologetically Angel. She plays hard, both ends of the floor. It doesn't matter what the score is. The thing that I think people question wasn't so much about her game or her rebounding, but it was the scoring. And the fact that she is either averaging or almost averaging a double-double is pretty impressive to do from anybody, but in particular a rookie. I just love how she's come into this league. She's embraced the bumps, the bruises. She's embraced the good with the bad. And I love watching her play because she plays hard the entire game.
Let's talk about Sheryl Swoops. She thought Clark was overhyped. Just another college standout who'd take years to make her mark in the pros. But the truth? Clark is already leading the league in assists, dropping 40-point games like it's no big deal, and flipping the power dynamics in the WNBA. Indiana isn't just improving, they're becoming a serious threat, and Clark's the one making it happen.
Pin down here, wide open.
Caitlin Clark's impact goes way beyond what's happening on the court. Yeah, she's lighting up defenses and setting records, But what's unfolding off the floor is just as game-changing. She's driving record ticket sales, smashing TV viewership numbers, and getting people to care about the WNBA like never before. Every Fever game feels like an event, and any matchup with Clark, must-watch TV. This isn't just a rising star. This is a movement.
Swoops has it, turns in the air for the game.
Before becoming one of the most electrifying players in WNBA history, Sheryl Swoopes was a sensation on the college stage, leading Texas Tech to the 1993 NCAA title with a record-setting 47-point performance in the championship game.
Sheryl Swoopes didn't see this coming. She thought Clark would have to earn her place, struggle, and prove herself over time. Instead, Clark stepped into the league and immediately took it by storm. Now, she's the main reason why the Indiana Fever has become the go-to spot for top-tier talent. Players want to team up with her, coaches want to build around her, and fans can't get enough. The old guard of the WNBA wasn't ready for this, but now they've got no choice but to accept it. For years, the WNBA waited for a player who could change the game, someone who could bring mainstream attention, pack arenas, and spark a real shift in the sport. The truth? That player's already here. Caitlin Clark isn't waiting her turn. She's rewriting the rules in real time.
So, the old legacy WNBA media did not think this was possible. They did not think that.
The Indiana Fever continued to make massive moves in free agency, signing Sophie Cunningham and DeWanna Bonner. And you guys, I don't even think they're done.
Not everyone in the WNBA is riding high these days. Some players have just struck it rich by joining a team with Caitlin Clark, leaving the rest of the league watching with envy.
So, Caitlin Clark is now a member of the new Indiana Fever. Remember what they got the big five. They have five. The top 24 scorers in the WNBA last.
The Fever have crafted something extraordinary around Clark, blending seasoned veterans with up-and-coming stars who thrive alongside one of the best passers the sport has ever seen. While some doubted Indiana's ability to lure top talent, those skeptics were proven wrong. So why are players gravitating towards Indiana while others are left pondering missed opportunities? Let's dive into the details. This shift is a game changer for the WNBA.
So firstly, you guys, Sophie Cunningham was traded to the Indiana Fever for Nalissa Smith and a pick. The Indiana Fever also acquired forward Jaylen Brown, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I am not familiar with her game. She is going to be only a second-year WNBA player, so we will have to see how her game translates to the Indiana Fever. But Sophie Cunningham was such a huge...
Caitlin Clark hasn't even played a single WNBA game yet, but she's already reshaping the league's landscape. When the Indiana Fever clinched the draft lottery, it wasn't just about snagging a future superstar, it was about transforming the franchise's entire identity. For years, Indiana was seen as a perennial underdog, struggling to define itself and attract marquee talent. Now, everything has changed, and the rest of the league is feeling the shift. The prevailing narrative was that Indiana couldn't possibly lure key free agents. Critics genuinely believed that seasoned veterans and emerging stars wouldn't be keen on joining forces with Caitlin Clark. They assumed she would falter without a solid supporting cast, citing Indiana's market, its history of losing seasons, and the so-called controversies surrounding Clark as deterrents. But here's the truth. Players are driven by the desire to win. In the competitive world of the WNBA, you recognize opportunity when it knocks. Caitlin Clark isn't just a talented player, she's a generational force who makes life easier for her teammates. She's the kind of athlete who gets everyone involved, elevates good players to greatness, and brings out the best in those around her. That's precisely why Natasha Howard decided to make the move to Indiana.
The news just dropped. DeWanna Bonner has been signed to the Indiana Fever. I'm about to knock my light over, bro.
That's why DeWanna Bonner was linked to the Fever, and why Sophie Cunningham ended up donning their jersey. Now, let's take a closer look at Natasha Howard. She's far from an ordinary free agent acquisition. She's a WNBA champion, a former Defensive Player of the Year, and a proven winner. With plenty of choices on the table, she opted for Indiana. And why wouldn't she? Playing alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is a dream come true. Clark spreads the floor, dishes out open looks, and consistently pushes the pace, while Boston commands attention in the paint as an interior powerhouse. In that dynamic, Howard flourishes. In Indiana, she'll enjoy easier scoring opportunities, more open shots, and the chance to contribute to something truly remarkable. When Howard inked her deal, the reactions were all over the map. Some in the WNBA media, especially those who rarely delve deep into the nuances of the game, acted as if her decision was nothing short of shocking. They clung to the outdated notion of the Fever as the same old underachieving team from a couple of years back. But the truth is, Indiana is no longer that franchise. They've set a clear vision, a star playmaker at the helm, a dominant post presence, and a coaching staff that knows how to build around such talent. It's this vision that's drawing players to Indiana and rendering the old idea that no one would sign there utterly ridiculous. Then there's Sophie Cunningham. The instant she was traded to Indiana, attention turned her way. Cunningham isn't merely a shooter. She's a gritty, high IQ competitor who excels in a system that values ball movement and purposeful play. She doesn't need to hog the ball to make an impact. Instead, she excels in off-ball movement, finding open spaces and delivering those critical extra passes, all essential skills when playing beside Caitlin Clark. And let's not overlook her defensive prowess and tenacious attitude. Cunningham's edge, her disruptive play, and her refusal to back down were exactly what Indiana needed. After all, you don't just want talent, you want mental toughness, battle-tested grit, and a willingness to fight every night. That's what sets this new Fever squad apart. It isn't just a collection of skilled players, it's a perfect fit. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Howard together form a lineup with clear identity, one that's poised to compete and catch the league's attention. The rest of the WNBA is taking notice. Teams that once dismissed Indiana are now quietly seething with envy as free agents actively choose Indiana. Those who doubted the impact of Caitlin Clark are starting to see that they miscalculated completely. Clark isn't simply bringing excitement to the court, she's fast-tracking Indiana's transformation into a legitimate contender. Players who once passed on Indiana are now left wondering if they made the wrong choice, because being in Indiana now looks like one of the best opportunities in the league. As the season approaches, the buzz is only intensifying. The WNBA is awakening to a new reality. The Indiana Fever aren't just rebuilding, they're ascending rapidly. And many around the league are starting to feel that intense envy, realizing that the very players who once scoffed at the idea of Indiana might now be regretting their decisions. The Fever have quietly assembled one of the most balanced, well-structured rosters in the league, and it's impossible for other teams not to take notice. For years, Indiana was a team you hardly feared, a mere stepping stone on the schedule, but those days are over. The way they've constructed their roster, the chemistry that's already forming, and the strategic additions they've made are forcing both players and executives across the league to sit up and take notice. Some in the media tried to paint Indiana as an undesirable destination, fixating on external factors and ignoring basic basketball logic. What they missed was simple. Players want to win, and they seek out systems that enhance their abilities. That's exactly what Indiana has created. With Caitlin Clark leading the way, Indiana's style is modern, fast-paced, and unselfish. A system designed to make life easier for every scorer, shooter, and post player. Take Natasha Howard's move, for instance. Critics speculated that her decision was driven by factors off the court, but in reality, Howard made it clear. She craves recognition, victory, and a place where she can truly thrive. Indiana delivered on all fronts. The old media narratives couldn't fathom why someone like Howard would choose Indiana, yet any true student of the game understood immediately. Playing alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is an ideal situation for a versatile forward like her. She isn't saddled with carrying the offense or forcing plays. Instead, she gets better looks and greater opportunities than she has in years. And consider DeWanna Bonner, who was heavily linked to the Fever. Initially, skeptics questioned why she'd ever opt for Indiana. But why wouldn't she? Indiana offers a team-first, up-tempo style where veteran scorers can extend their careers while remaining highly productive. With Indiana's system, Bonner wouldn't be overburdened with minutes. She'd be surrounded by youthful energy and allowed to focus on what she does best: scoring and leadership. Instead, Bonner remained in Connecticut, a team that, while still competitive, might lack the vibrant, exciting environment Indiana is building. Because here's the bottom line: Indiana is on track to be one of the most exciting teams both to watch and to play for. With Clark's visionary playmaking, Boston's commanding presence in the paint, Mitchell's scoring prowess, Cunningham's grit, and Howard's versatility, the pieces are finally coming together in a way few teams can match. And now, the WNBA is watching closely. Teams that once dismissed Indiana are now rethinking their stance, while players who previously overlooked the Fever are beginning to reconsider. If Indiana makes a deep playoff run this year, and they just might, those who passed on them are going to regret missing out. What's most striking about the Fever's roster is how seamlessly everything fits together. It's not just about possessing talent, it's about having the right kind of talent. Caitlin Clark is not a ball-dominant guard who forces poor shots. She's a cerebral playmaker who involves her teammates, ensuring that scorers like Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham get the looks they deserve. Aaliyah Boston isn't just a reliable post presence. She's an elite two-way big who can anchor the defense and dominate on the boards, freeing up her teammates to focus on their roles. Natasha Howard brings veteran savvy and impact on both ends, offering Indiana the switchability and offensive depth they need. When you combine all these elements, you get a team built to win. As the Fever gear up for their inaugural season with Clark at the helm, one question looms large in the WNBA. How soon before other teams try to replicate Indiana's blueprint? Because there's no denying it, the envy is palpable. Players and executives who once wrote off Indiana are now witnessing a transformation in real time. This isn't just about one superstar. It's about a front office that has meticulously constructed a balanced, synergistic roster, forcing everyone to take notice. For years, Indiana was a team you'd barely give a second glance. Today, however, the Fever have redefined themselves through shrewd roster moves, strategic chemistry, and a visionary approach. Some critics in the media clung to outdated perceptions, failing to grasp that players want to win and thrive in systems tailored to their strengths. And with Caitlin Clark steering the ship, Indiana's fast-paced, unselfish style isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. The signing of players like Natasha Howard, along with the buzz surrounding Bonner and Cunningham, signals a new era for the Fever. In a few short months, the Indiana Fever have transformed from an afterthought into one of the league's most coveted destinations. The pieces are finally in place, the chemistry is undeniable, and the envy from across the WNBA is unmistakable. It all comes down to one thing: Caitlin Clark has changed everything. Her arrival has not only elevated the talent on Indiana's roster, but has also created an environment where players genuinely want to be. And as the league watches this transformation unfold, it's becoming increasingly clear that Indiana isn't just back in the game, they're here to change it.